Hello, denizens of the internet. I'm Elysium, and this is a new channel of mine where I'm going to talk about gaming-related stuff and probably not game-related stuff. Knowing me, I tend to get sidetracked. But basically, I was going to wait and then do this channel later in the month when I had, more stuff rather than a very blank channel. However, something's really pissed me off, which I need to talk about because otherwise I'm just going to explode with rage. And that is EA and Maxis and SimCity. Right. So, SimCity have just announced a patch that allows offline play. Woo! Yay! So, for those of you who don't know, let's go back to all the way at the beginning. When SimCity came out, developed by Maxis, published by EA, so I'm going to talk about them pretty much interchangeably. It was always on. You couldn't, disconnect from the internet, otherwise the game would, stop working and go, oh, you've lost connection. Blah. When asked if this was is this DRM? Have you deliberately done this to stop people pirating the game? They were like, no, it's needed for all the cloud computing and all the social features, so you can share your towns and stuff. For those of you who don't know, SimCity actually doesn't have very much interactive stuff. It's like you can trade resources with people nearby, and arsonists will come from their city and burn yours or whatever. There's not very much of a social feature there. And they said that, there's also cloud computing, like the processes and stuff that make SimCity really, really slow will actually somehow be taken care of on the internet by our servers, and thus it won't be as slow on your computer, which is complete bollocks because as the thing went entirely crap, there were so many problems with the servers, they were just not running, they were too overloaded at the beginning, there were entire outages. They ended up giving free games away for people who had bought SimCity because it was that bad. And people found that after they disconnected from the internet, they could run SimCity for 20 minutes before SimCity went, you seem to have lost connection to the internet. I'm going to stop working now. So it can actually work without all these social features and all these cloud computing nonsense because it ran for 20 minutes without having a connection and then went, oh wait, you've lost connection. I'm going to go die now. Bye. So obviously it can work. But when questioned, EA and Maxis were saying, no, it's necessary for all the stuff. No, it's not possible to do it. They said categorically it's not possible for it to be done. Modders then proved that, you could actually play the game offline. And now they have just announced a new patch they're going to be implementing, which allows offline play! Now, a couple of you are probably like, yay, they're introducing a patch that allows offline play. This is so good of them. They categorically didn't allow offline play. They made it so it wasn't possible, despite the fact, it probably was possible. They then flat out lied about it, which is probably one of the bigger things that I care about. They actually said, oh, it's not possible, when it completely was. It obviously was. Modders did it. You've done it. Complete bollocks. Is it DRM? No, it's not DRM. It's necessary. You shouldn't be thanking them for this sort of plain bullshit lying to your faceness, because that just promotes two-faced companies. We don't really want to promote that. So why have they done this? Because I think it's important that we understand what the motivation is behind companies like this, so we know why they're making these choices, because they're not just making them randomly. Now, all this is going to be what I assume, but it's pretty obviously the case. Games are most sold and make the most money when they've come out in the first few months, yeah? Because A, they're full price, and B, all the publicity's around, people buy them then, yeah? Makes sense, right? So maybe the first 6 months they make far more money than they're going to make in the rest of their shelf life, or whatever you have on the internet. Server life? So they don't want them being pirated at the beginning. So they put this always online function in and go, now you can't pirate it because there's always online DRM in it, which doesn't really make sense because people still manage to find ways around that. But anyway, so they put that in and then went, oh, it's not DRM, no, because they don't want the blowback from having DRM, because DRM is getting pretty hammered these days. They're actually winning the war on DRM if we talk generally as a group of gamers or even just consumers at large. DRM is being hammered pretty hard, which, great for us. So they were like, oh no, it's just we're making a social function. They disguised it as a social function. It's DRM, but they disguised it as a social function. So basically they designed DRM and then went, oh, let's put some Facebooky social elements on top. It's like sprinkles on top of this cake of crap. And then they went, right, okay, now we'll release it, we'll get loads of money, no one can pirate it, so we won't lose money from piracy, which apparently doesn't happen. We don't really lose that much money from piracy. Just, making a point out there. And then, now, I think it's almost a year after it's been released. It's not quite a year, just short of that. But, a fair time after that's happened, they're now going, oh, well, we'll make it DRM free, in effect. They're not saying DRM because there was never any DRM. Take their word for it. But they're now making DRM free. Why is this? Because they've made most of their money. And they're deciding, right, the people who don't have the game, who we can sell to, are people who don't want the game, we're never going to sell to them, or the people who would, want to be able to play it offline, or don't like the idea of DRM. By taking away the DRM, we can sell it to them. And if we as consumers buy it now, we're just vindicating them on that policy, okay? Because what they want to do is they also want to shut down the servers that are running, that are needed for the always-on DRM stuff, because the servers cost money to run, and as people play SimCity less, those servers are going to be less profitable for run. So eventually they will shut down the servers. It might be a year, it might be 2 years, might be 6 months, might be 5 years, but they will want to shut them down eventually. So they'll get even more blowback if they shut down the servers and there's no way to run it offline when it has been proven by modders that they can. So what they're doing is they're going to try and transfer to be able to run it offline, and then eventually they will shut down the servers. But that's not as much of an issue as the fact that they're implementing DRM and then lying about it to our faces, because that, as consumers, really makes us suffer. That's the problem that we have as consumers is this DRM that will make us suffer. Because A, they can't be trusted to maintain the servers, which we've seen repeatedly with always DRM launches. We just can't get in, not only because the servers are overloaded, but because they haven't done things properly, and it doesn't just stop some people getting on, it stops everyone getting on as the server crashes, and they never test them properly, etc, etc. And SimCity, all around, was actually a pretty naff game, in that the pathing logic wasn't there. People would obviously take the shortest route, despite the fact that the shortest route was the congested route, despite the fact they said that it wouldn't happen. And they said there was advanced logic like, oh, people will have meaningful lives. People will go from their home, they'll go to work, and then they'll go back to their home. Whereas you could see people were leaving their home, going to work, and then immediately going to the closest house. So there wasn't any life as such. It was just fill box, fill box. They pretty much lied exactly about that feature. Not that, the key feature you want in your game is to be able to follow one car to work and then all the way back. I mean, if you're playing SimCity for that, I think you picked up the wrong sim game by EA. So yeah. Not to go on too long, pretty much that's just what's happened. SimCity, new patch, EA, Maxis, bullshit. I don't actually own SimCity, and you're probably going to go, oh, but how can you comment about it? You don't own SimCity. It's like, well, I don't actually want to give money away to a company just to say, oh, the game's shit, because that'd be vindicating it. I know all I need to know about it. It's got always on DRM, and I've seen the bug list. I'm quite happy playing the old SimCities if I want to play a SimCity game. The ones that have actually got a bigger map and more stuff in them. The SimCity DRM and the game on sale right now is 70 quid still. It's been out for, a year almost. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, I've been Elysium. This channel's been Extra Elysium. It's my new channel. The lighting and stuff will get better when I get new equipment, and there may be more channel art and maybe intros and trailers. I don't know, but there will be more stuff eventually. Anyway, thank you for watching the very first video on my new channel. And if you want to watch me playing games, talking about games while I play them, and talking about science while I play games, and just more game stuff in general, go over and visit me at Enter Elysium. That's youtube.com/Enter Elysium. And if you want to watch more of these vlog type thingies where I explain about the world and the stuff behind the games and the news, and then explain behind the news rather than just saying what the news is or just condemning them, follow me here, subscribe, that's what you do, and also leave a like. Yeah, thank you very much for being one of the first people watching this channel, this video, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. I've been Elysium, and stay shiny.